It is good to see your faces. Spoiler alert, this month is kind of intense. So before we do that, if you're available to come off camera, let's just take a moment to scroll through and just give some smiles to each other for Shabbat, for being here, for being sweet souls on the planet. Some smiles, maybe even some waves at some people, just so that we can kind of evoke this idea of, even though our bodies might be in different parts of the world, our souls and our minds are actually here together right now. And for those of you who are watching the recording after, you're actually in a space-time continuum with us, and maybe you're not live with us anymore, but I think that your souls and minds can still be with us in recordings after. So hello, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. I got a lot of private messages from people, some of which I think are actually for the larger group. So if you did that and you want the larger group to see it, please scroll back and then send it to everyone. And thank you to the sweet messages that people have sent me around just seeing me and being here with everyone. I think it's been more than a year now that I've been coming once a month. So as always, my invitation for people who are just learning with me for the first time, if this works for you and lands with you, amazing. If it doesn't and it's not working for you, just mute me until 5 minutes before the hour and come back from Kaddish, or let it flow over. You're here for your reasons, and I hope to evoke that for you, but want to just invite you to own your own meditation for today. I'm a Hebrew calendar geek. I come in here and talk about the themes of the month from a Jewish perspective. And like Mark said, we are in the tail end of Sivan 5783. This glorious month, the end of our spring in our Hebrew calendar. We did Sivan last month. We evoked our ancestors. We were all there. We were receiving revelation. We were opening our hearts and our minds. And now, dun, 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 comes the summer months of the Hebrew calendar. And dun, 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 they're intense. The Hebrew calendar teaches us that in the summer months, when it is the most sunny out, it's about to be the summer solstice next week, we are actually experiencing some challenging emotions internally. And that in the darkest times of the year, when it's winter, we evoke miracles and light, and we have Hanukkah, and then we sort of evoking this sense of potential and possibility, and come out of the winter with Shvat and plant seeds. But that's for 6 months from now. And now what I hope to do is just invite you into the Hebrew calendar in the sense of Jewish time as a spiritual tool for yourself. I understand it's about to be summer. You know, we have some amazing summer plans, I'm sure. I'm planning to spend some time with my family, do some traveling. My wife and I are expecting a baby. There's a lot of things that are happening. We're having barbecues, and I'm going to go to my niece's slip and slide party, and there's going to be a lot of joy, and it's sunny until 10 o'clock at night. So there's just so much happiness that comes with the summer. And also, it's when crime rates get the highest in our cities. It's when wars break out. And thousands of years ago, it was when the walls of Jerusalem were breached. And it's when the Israelites were about to go into the promised land, and they felt discouraged about what they saw. And so it's this month of seeing also some of the sadness that happens in the world. And I think the Hebrew calendar is teaching us this really important note that when it gets really hot in the Northern Hemisphere, I'm sure there's someone here from the Southern Hemisphere where it's cold, but in the Northern Hemisphere, when it gets hot, sometimes we also get overheated. And sometimes we raise our voices at people driving next to us in traffic. And we know they're just trying to do their best they can probably do. And so the Hebrew calendar is here as a reminder that even though you might have some pool parties ahead of you, there's also this undercurrent of some intense, challenging emotions that can bubble up without the awareness. And one of my favorite texts in Judaism, Ecclesiastes, which we read on Sukkot, teaches us that there's a time for everything under heaven. There's a time to be angry. There's a time to yell. And there's a time for joy. Not exactly quoting Ecclesiastes verbatim, but I think it's a good reminder as we go into these challenging months about recognizing that there's a time for this, and that Judaism and the Hebrew calendar don't shy away from challenging feelings because they're just normal human emotions. And so with anything, I hope that the invitation for Tammuz and Av are that we recognize our divinity even in the challenging corners of our souls, and maybe even in the challenging corners of our communities and what we see happening in the world. So with that, I want us to drop into our sit. And I might take us through some visualizations. I'm going to take us through some visualizations of things that you see in your soul and in your community that could be worth crying about, like our sages cried at the destruction of the temple. And again, if that's not where you are today and you're just not ready and you want to stay a couple more days in Sivan, this is your practice. So mute me and take care of yourself. But for those of you who want to explore the depths of the Hebrew calendar today, then let's roll together. So allow your eyes to close. Take that deep breath in and that big audible breath out. You're all muted, so make your sounds loud. Inhaling, exhaling. Invite you to inhale your shoulders to your ears and that tightness. Exhale down your back through your hands, opening them wide. Doing any kind of shaking your body movement now to be able to be present and drop into your body. We're going to start today's meditation with a simple body scan. Just brings awareness to your physical body. Our practice is about awareness rather than judging. There's no good or bad. It just is what's is. And we'll start with the anchor of the earth beneath us, bringing awareness to your feet, just placing attention at your feet or legs coming up. Inhaling and exhaling. Placing your attention on your upper legs and thighs. And your hips. And the place in your body that's being supported by a chair if you're sitting. Up through your stomach. Your back. Your chest area. Noticing the area in front of your heart. And noticing the area at the back of your heart. Bringing your awareness down your arms. Slowly. Slowly down your arms. Through your wrists. And the fingers. And your fingernails. Your awareness of your throat. Your shoulders, your throat. Your jaw. See if you can use your breath to actually soften any tightness you notice around your jaw. Or your tongue, if it's stuck to the roof of your mouth. Your eyes. Your ears. Forehead. And then the top of your head, your keter. The crown of your head. Bringing your awareness to your whole body. The separate parts of it and the totality of it. Everything connected. And as we begin to evoke Tammuz, just want to invite you to notice the physical sensations in your body. Just awareness of them. As we bring our mind's attention to grief, something sad. You could imagine the destruction of the walls of Jerusalem as an image, a collective image of our ancestors. Or evoke a memory or something in your life that's true and present, that is sad. And just notice the sensations in your body. Notice restlessness, any discomfort. Notice if it's a feeling, a physical feeling of a broken heart. Without judgment, just awareness. How do I relate to difficult things in my life? Do I lean in and feel them? Or do I shut them down? Jewish wisdom is giving us an invitation to feel these feelings. There will be another time for different feelings. Right now, it's our time to explore curiously how we relate to them. like you to take your hands together and start moving them to create some friction and heat. And when you feel the toastiness between your hands, keeping your attention, just place that warmth on the places of your body that felt that grief and see if you can just give them a little nourishment. With our awareness comes our ability to respond rather than react. So for a moment, reflect on how you can nourish yourself during this challenging summer month. Give yourself anything else that you need. Before we close our meditation and open our eyes, I'd like to invite you just to find some gratitude for the challenging emotions. Gratitude for the Hebrew calendar to give us permission to really feel a range of feelings. And let's take 3 collective breaths together, all 170 of us, not doing this alone. Inhaling some soul. Exhale, send that nourishment through your body. Inhale, receiving the blessings of spiritual wisdom. Exhaling, sending it through your body. Inhaling the souls of this community, collective care of us meditating together. And exhale, sending it to yourself. Take anything else that you need for yourself, and when you're ready, you can allow your eyes to open. And maybe find somebody else's eyes on the Zoom call and just give them a smile or a wink, knowing that they're doing the spiritual work alongside you. And in these challenging months, you're definitely not meant to do it alone. I want to say happy Tammuz, everyone, but it's not really appropriate for the month. So I'm just wishing us an easeful Tammuz and an awareness of Tammuz and what comes alongside the fun of the summer, but also sometimes the grief of the summer. And a Shabbat Shalom. Passing it back to you, Mark.
Thanks so much, Sarah. A beautiful practice and beautiful community building, as always. And I want to wish you a B'Shah Tova and everything good on all these wonderful developments for you, your family. Friends, we seal the practice as we do each day by offering those of you who are in mourning, or if you're observing a yard site, if it's your custom to join in Kaddish, to recite the Mourners Kaddish together. And if you're not reciting Kaddish, you have the opportunity to support those who are by creating a minyan of comfort and support. Thanks to Kat for sharing the words of the Kaddish on the screen. If you'd like to put the name or names of those you're honoring today in the chat box, you can do that now. You can do that after we recite Kaddish. And if you are reciting the words, I invite you to join me by rising in body or in spirit, and you can unmute at this time. Yit Gadal, Yikadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Yarama Divrak Yute Yamlich Malchute Achayechon Yamechon Uchaye B'Kol Beit Yisrael Ba'agalat Bizman Karib V'Imru Amen.
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 Yehesh Me Rabba Yivarach V'Olam Rameh Amaya Yitbarach V'Yishtabach V'Yipa'ar V'Yipaman V'Yipaseh V'Yitadar V'Yitale V'Yithalal Shmei Dekudsha V'Rivhu
Richu.
La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran ba'alman v'imru amen.
Amen.
Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya achayim aleinu v'yachol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'nomah hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'yachol Yisrael v'yachol yoshvei tevel v'ru amen.
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 And friends, thank you so much for joining us today. Wishing everyone a sweet, restorative Shabbat and a Chodesh Tov as the new month of Tammuz arrives Sunday night. And grateful to have had this opportunity to set ourselves up for the new month by practicing and learning from Sarah Waxman of At the Well. Thanks so much, Sarah, for making time to lead us as always. And of course, thanks to Kat Esposito for holding our tech space. Thanks to each of you for being here. And everyone is welcome to stay on for some conversation with Sarah about the teaching or just to share reflections on the practice for the next 10-15 minutes or so. If you're leaving us now, I want to wish you a Shabbat Shalom. We hope you'll join us next week. We'll be back. Just a reminder that we will not be here live on Monday in observance of Juneteenth, but we will be back at our normal time on Tuesday. So we hope to see you then. A wonderful lineup of teachers who I do not have at my fingertips right now, but maybe I can get that before we end. And if you do have a question for Sarah, please put it in the chat, preface it by writing question, or just feel free to use chat to share your reflections on what came up for you from the practice. Or another option is simply to continue to use this time and space and this community as a container for your practice. And feel free to turn off the sound on your computer and just be here with us in silence if you'd like. All right, Sarah, let's get you in here. And thank you so much. And as I said, B'Shah Tova, hope, a lot of wonderful things. So thanks, especially at a busy time. Thanks for leading us as always.
I love being here. I'm in here. This is also
I
love the meditation and I love the chat after. So
it's a love fest. We got a good thing. We got a good thing going here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got a lot of questions rolling in. I'm just going to kick it off by saying that this whole question of the paradox of experiencing the high points, like the summer, like you're talking about, like in some ways for a lot of us, not necessarily all of us, summer is like the high point of the year, but in the Jewish calendar, it really represents the low point spiritually in the Jewish year. And we begin that process in Tammuz. So we go from Shavuot and Sivan and then head downhill from there. Anyway, I'm thinking about this peanut strip, which maybe I can pull up, where Lucy and Linus are talking to each other. And Linus says to Lucy, well, Lucy, life has its ups and downs. And Lucy starts yelling, I don't want any downs. I just want ups. I just want ups and ups. But you pointed out that, it's all part of life. It's all part of being human, the challenging parts, the heartbreak, the sadness, the grief, the challenging emotions. So Laura asked a question, and you mentioned this at the end. I think it was at the end. You said, as Tammuz is coming in, we're like basically celebrating a month, which is a month where we may experience challenging emotions. So what does it feel like to find gratitude for difficult emotions? Like that feels like a kind of a high level, right, of spiritual practice. Because our inclination is to push them away or to judge ourselves for having them or to avoid
Laura, I
them.
love your questions. I feel like you ask me a lot when we're together. Raise your hand if you have the same question. Okay, Laura, you're not alone out here. Got a lot of hands in the Zoom room, so thank you for asking what's kind of on our minds. As normal, I want to start my answer by saying a caveat. I'm not a rabbi. I'm not a therapist. I'm not any kind of specialized in things. I'm a CEO, an entrepreneur, a spiritual quester, an curious person, a human being living my own experience. And so these are my thoughts, but I invite you to put your answers to these questions in the chat too, and to send private notes to people. First of all, I want to start by giving a quote from Psalms to your answer to your question, who I just put in chat. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. From my experience, some of the greatest lessons of my life, the things that have shaped me to be the type of person that I am today, to have the capacity to hold truth and heartbreak and justice and kindness come from my personal experience with challenging things. Even just like being bullied in 6th grade and crying myself to sleep at night. And my mom was like, Sarah, you know, someday you're going to realize that this was an opportunity to just learn how to be kind to people and that know what it feels like to be mean on the other side and to just learn to be nice to other people. And that people that are mean to other people are probably just suffering themselves and they don't know how to place it and imagine what they're talking to themselves like. A very profound thing for a 9-year-old Sarah, but something that I stuck with me my whole life. And I always try to be kind, even if I've been known to be intimidating at times or whatever, like to be kind to people. And that came actually from my experience of receiving unkind things. Broken legs, being hit by a car, my own challenges with grief and loss, my own challenges with being a woman in the world and a queer person and the pressures of that, and experiences of injustice and racial injustice in this country and all these things that just break your heart. And we want to work towards changing. Can also be the greatest things that teach us to open to what could be. And so I don't want to shy away from the challenging things. I want to be a partner with the divine to create the world that I want to be and to see that and move towards righteousness and justice and oneness and kindness. And I also know that if I look at pretty much every civilization and every human being that has ever walked this planet, there's the challenging stuff too. And something that I love about Judaism is the invitation to feel those things and hopes that it becomes a blessing for the fall when we do Elul and we do tshuva and we return to ourselves. That the things where we miss the mark can be teachers for us to be the type of people we want to be, to see where people who miss the mark and have the awareness of them missing the mark and come to you with that forgiveness can be something that moves forward into the world. And hopefully things that are injustice and wrong about the world will then be catalysts for making the change that becomes righteous for our communities. And so that's my answer to how could I feel grateful for it? I think it's a nice thing to say. So blame me for being all cute at the end with saying, thank you for the opportunity to feel sadness and doing that. And on hard days, it's like, hell no. And on days where I'm strong spiritually, it's a strength. And when I look to people in the world who are leaders around like real progress for society that have really open hearts, who have been really wronged, who are able to really move forward. I just see them in their gratitude for the experience that they had so that it could make them the person that they are today. And that's what I'm trying to invite in for any kind of challenging things that might come up for the month of Tammuz. not sanctioning getting in fights with your family members. Highly don't recommend it. It's not great. It hurts. But if it happens, perhaps there could be some awareness towards reconciliation could happen after that fight that would actually retie the knot between folks and open hearts in order to move forward to something closer and greater and better.
That is a wise and beautiful and deep answer, Sarah. Thank you. It's really wonderful. I want to ask you actually, because we don't often get to do this, talk a little bit about the work about the well, and but maybe as a lead into that, we have just a couple of minutes. I guess we have about 4 minutes. So was to ask you, since this month that's coming up, Tammuz and Av, like basically are the summer months, is there a nuanced difference the way At the Well understands those months in terms of the theme, like just looking ahead, to the rest of the summer and Av, is there going to be a different theme for Av? How would you describe that? And maybe that can lead you into talking a little bit about, what At the Well does.
Yeah.
And how
Well,
people
hopefully
can
I'll
plug
be
in.
with everyone as the moon rotates. We're going to go to a full moon and then into a waning moon and a new moon again. And I will be back for Av. Big question mark about whether or not I will be.
Well, none of
here
us will
for
remember.
Elul.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm not here for Elul, it's because I had a baby.
All right.
If I am here for Elul, it's because I'm still 38 weeks pregnant. So that's just where we are. And hopefully someone from my team will come in and teach. But if you're like, what is she talking about? The Hebrew calendar, I want to learn a lot more. At the Well is an organization that I am the founder, but really I consider myself to be a vessel for this wisdom in the world. And here's the link, At the Well Project. Our mission is to enhance women's well-being using ancient Jewish wisdom. I understand that might be limiting. You might be like, I am not a woman, so can I do this? The answer is yes. Take the wisdom, take the content, the materials that we have, change pronouns, make it accessible to your life. It's an invitation for you to take and grow and make for you. Although At the Well's mission is sort of targeting this demographic of people, we support the ritual of Rosh Chodesh, which means new moon, and we help create circles and spaces for folks to honor new moon tradition in Judaism. It's something we all inherited, even if it's not something that you were raised with. It's a Jewish practice to come together on the new moon. And we teach people to do that in their peer spaces with their friends, and also really hoping to bring Rosh Chodesh back to the home. And that could happen intergenerationally, is that people are becoming aware of spiritual time as a well-being ritual, and something that could be helping make some connections across generations inside your own homes. So if you go to At the Well's website, you'll scroll down and you'll see that there's something called a moon manual. That is a guide to the Hebrew calendar month. And those are free resources we put out a week before each Rosh Chodesh, each new moon, that you could just download and get a bunch of teaching from my team and also our network around the themes and concepts of the month. And also a really clear guide on how you could do this with other people. So if you want to learn more about Tammuz, it's there. Go there, download it. It's for you. It's an offering. It's something that, people on my team work on to help bring out into the world. And if you want support around creating a space for your peers or group or with your family, reach out. That's what we do. In terms of Av, so Tammuz gets kind of spicy around the 17th of Tammuz. There's a fast day in there. It's a commemoration of the walls of Jerusalem coming down. And then we're in this 3-week mourning between the 17th of Tammuz and the 9th of Av, Tisha B'Av, which is actually the saddest day of the year because it's a commemoration of the temple. And we read this really striking text called Lamentations, which for folks who identify as women and are in female bodies, the text there is quite interesting about the destruction of the body as a parallel to the destruction of the temple, which is another class for another time. But Lamentations is a really sad text. You cannot read that and feel good. And we evoke that on Tisha B'Av, and we practice staying low to the ground and being really sad. And then by the full moon of Av, we have our love day, Tu B'Av. So Tammuz is kind of like grief and sadness and feeling into it, and Av is kind of a like emotional roller coaster of being the lowest of lows and then being held by love. And so that's kind of like the summer months. And
Right.
so, but we're still in Tammuz, so we have some feeling to do.
But we're living moment to
But that's
moment here,
like the
Sarah.
flash
It's okay.
forward of what's to come and a little bit about At the Well. And Mark, I could just talk and talk. So I think I've answered that completely. And
No,
if
it's
you
great,
have,
Sarah. We're good.
Yeah.
We're good. Thank you for just sort of pointing us to the arc that lies ahead of us, even as we're like, as I'm jokingly saying, but really are trying to stay present in what's happening right now. Like we're not even in Tammuz yet. So we're at the end of Sivan. But I want to thank you as always.
I hope that because we're still in Sivan, people are going to make this Shabbat even extra more special. So like get that tail end of the Sivan energy of like, we're still coming now, we're feeling ourselves, we're learning, we're open, we're loving.
Yeah.
So that before you kind of like turn in, whether or not you're aware or not, maybe there's going to be someone that's going to cut you off in traffic and you're going to get abnormally angry and you'll be like, oh yeah, that woman on that meditation said this might happen.
That woman.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, that woman. So put the link again to the At the Well project in the chat. Those of you who might wish to save the chat, which has so much wisdom and wonderful commentary in it, as well as the questions and the links, you're encouraged to do that. If you don't know how to save the chat, by the way, in the bottom right, in the chat box itself, if you see three little dots horizontally in the bottom, very bottom, if you click on that, then it gives you a menu where you can save the chat. We'll save it to your computer or device, and you can make use of the resources that are there. Okay, everyone. Sarah, thanks so much. Hope you feel well. And,
Love being here with everyone. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom and a chodesh tov